One of the first things I get my clients to do is to share their story, to create their story, understand their story and share it. And I realised that actually maybe it's time I did exactly that and took a dose of my own medicine. So this video is really an introduction to me and my story. If you don't know who I am, hi, I'm Bev Thorogood. I'm a business coach and mentor, and I work with wellness professionals and freelancers who are just getting started to help them grow their business, particularly by helping them to tap into a corporate market. And as I say, one of the first things I try and get them to do is to really understand their own story and what makes them unique so they can stand out in their business. So I thought I'd take a spoonful of my own medicine and share a little bit about me in case you've not come across me before. So I always call myself an accidental entrepreneur because I didn't start my business until I was 52. And that was following a long career, 32-year career with the MOD. But that came to an end when I really struggled with perimenopause symptoms that just left me floored. And I ended up leaving my job in March 2018 to start a business on my own. And I have to be honest, I didn't have a clue how to start or run a business. I knew nothing really about business. I have got a degree in business and enterprise, but if I'm honest, that didn't really give me anything practical in terms of running a business. It was very theoretical. So I didn't really have a clue what I was doing, but I did know that I absolutely did not want to go back and work for somebody else. So I knew I had to figure it out, whatever it took. I needed to figure out how to market myself, how to get out there and start making sales and making money from my business. And the way I did that, really thinking back, I think I had a passion for the fact that I had really struggled with menopause and nobody seemed to be talking about it. This was 6 years ago now, so it was really before menopause became the hot topic that it is now, especially with regard to like the workplace. And I just started going out and talking to people about my experience, and that involved things like learning how to use LinkedIn, and I started talking about my experiences on LinkedIn. I started going out to networking events, business networking events. That was a real new venture for me. I'd not had to do any kind of networking. I didn't have a network, so that was all very, very new. And I was just talking about menopause, and as you can imagine, 6 years ago, going into professional business networking, talking about menopause, got some strange looks at times. But I think because it was something that people weren't talking about, it got a bit of attention. And before long, what I started to find was happening was businesses were reaching out to me, asking if I could go and talk to their staff about my experience of menopause. And I was also doing lots of research around menopause in the workplace and trying to figure out if anybody else was talking about this. There weren't really many of us 6 years ago who were talking openly about this. So I was able, I guess, to forge a position in the marketplace where I was starting to be perceived as an expert in that field. And that really, really helped. But I don't think at the time I really understood the importance of positioning in the way that I do now, or the importance of differentiating yourself quite in the way that I do now. It was sort of almost an intuitive skill that I kind of developed, knowing that I needed to be talking about this. I needed to be seen as somebody who had an opinion on the subject that I was wanting to build my business around. So, you know, six years later, roll on 6 years, and in that time I kind of managed to grow a successful business that was basically delivering corporate training around the subject of menopause, and that led to me being able to work with and partner with some brilliant organisations and businesses, including the Royal Air Force and other government departments, some corporate giants like Epson and Xerox, as well as local authorities and SMEs. And, you know, the pinnacle, I think, was probably partnering with Channel 4 on a piece of e-learning that we did together. And just, you know, working with hundreds of amazing companies to share this message that I had around menopause. And in that time as well, I was able to write and publish a book, The Business of Menopause, A Guide for Working Women, which I never ever thought I would do. You know, I never had aspirations to write a book, but that came about as well. And again, that was something that I kind of learned to do. I taught myself how to do that. I just knew that there were things I wanted to say, and writing a book seemed the obvious way to do that. And then was it last year? No, the year before last, because we're into 2024 now. You know, I got to give a TEDx talk, which now has got, you know, over 60,000 views on YouTube, which I'm really pleased about, because the TEDx channel is very crowded. There's lots and lots of people out there that have done TEDx talks. So to know that more than 60,000 people have watched my talk and hopefully found it useful was absolutely incredible. And all of that feels even more incredible when I consider that I was a kid that grew up on the outskirts of Newcastle, that left school with 2 grade 1 CSEs in maths and English, and, you know, a pretty rubbish academic record, and then who also found out last year that I have ADHD, which, you know, all of this kind of combined makes this 6-year business journey feel even more rewarding, I guess. So why am I telling you this? What's the purpose of me telling you all this? Well, I suppose what I'm trying to say is if you are that person like I was 6 years ago, who's maybe either struggling in your job, or you're fed up in your job, you just want to do something different, or maybe you've started your freelance business or your well-being business and you're just getting started and it feels challenging. I guess the message I really want to get across is, look, if I can do this, so can you. There's absolutely nothing at all special about me. I just knew that I wanted to do something different, and I knew that if I put the time and the effort into learning this, I could do it. Because the thing with business that I have found is it's not magic. It's they're learned skills. Selling is a learned skill. Marketing is a learned skill. All of the kind of the business fundamentals, strategy, all of that kind of thing, they're learned skills. And actually, I don't think we've probably ever been in a better place or time for learning this stuff. You've got YouTube channels that teach it. You've got TikTok and social media. You've got podcasts and endless numbers of books out there that you can tap into to learn all of this, as well as people like myself and lots of other business coaches and business strategists and consultants who you can tap into to get their knowledge, their expertise. In fact, in some ways, I guess it can be a little bit overwhelming, to be honest, but just know that there's nothing that you can't learn. So yeah, if I can do it, you definitely can do it. So that's probably the first thing, or the reason, I suppose, I'm doing this video, as well as to introduce myself. It's also to hopefully inspire you to know that you're never too old. That's one thing. You're never too old to get started. As well, I think if I was just to share a couple of lessons that I've really learned over the last 6 months, it would be these. First of all, it's going to feel scary, but just trust that you can do this. Keep going through the fear, because here's the truth. The fear is always there. You're never going to not have that fear. Every time you do something new, and every time you do something that puts you a bit out of your comfort zone, that fear is going to come back. And the only way to diminish that fear is to do the thing, to take action, to push through it. There's nothing that you can't learn. The only thing that's going to hold you back really is the fear and the self-doubt. But I guess the most comforting bit of this is everybody feels it. Everybody feels that fear. The difference, I guess, between those who make a success and those who don't is whether or not you're willing to push through the fear, because the fear isn't real. You know, I suppose it depends on what you're freelancing in, but for most of us, nobody's going to die. We're not going to die if something goes wrong. So just do it, you know, just push through the fear, and the fear over that thing that you're scared about in the moment will diminish, and you just got to know that the next thing you try, that fear is going to come back. But you just have to push through that as well. So don't let fear stop you. You just got to absolutely trust that you can handle this, that you can do it, that you will be able to learn whatever you need to learn. You'll be able to cope with whatever happens, even if you fluff it up. It won't matter. Nobody really cares that much, if I'm honest. The second thing is that everything that you need to be able to run a business is learnable. They're just skills and knowledge. The problem is, I think a lot of us, certainly for those of us that are a bit older, we have this mindset sometimes that we're too old to learn, or it's too difficult to learn, or it almost, I've heard this back from people as well. It's like, I don't want to have to learn that sort of stuff. I don't want to have to learn all of the tech. I don't want to have to learn new software. I don't have to learn new concepts. If you're not willing to learn, then stay where you are. Don't start a business, because you are going to have to learn. But actually that learning is so rewarding, and there's something incredible that happens when you conquer something that you didn't think you'd be able to conquer. Like maybe a bit of software that you've been challenged with, and you can't get your head around it, and then you keep working through it, and the penny drops and you get it, and that sense of confidence that you get when you've kind of conquered that job and learned how to do it is so rewarding. But you know, it's a bit unrealistic to think that you can do this and not have to learn new skills. You will have to learn new skills, but the good news is everything's learnable. And the third thing, it's going to feel lonely and challenging at times, but the way around that is you've just got to find your tribe, find your network of support to help you. And you know, going back to the first lesson around it's scary, but everybody feels that fear, then that's brilliant, because if you can surround yourself with people who are maybe just a step or two ahead of you, they will already have felt the same fears that you're feeling, and they'll have found ways to push through, and they'll be encouraging you to push through as well. So finding a community, finding business buddies that will support you and keep you going through the lonely, tough times. And I would probably say that's not your work colleagues, you know, from your old job, or your family and friends, because they probably aren't experiencing or haven't experienced the same challenges that you're going to face as a new business owner. So whilst obviously you want their support, and that's lovely, they may not fully understand what it is you're actually challenged with. So building a network, a business network, you know, my business network of now, many of them have become really, really good friends, because we get each other, we understand, and we can empathise and feel compassion towards the challenges that we're going through. So, you know, build that community. Anyway, that's me waffling on. Thank you if you are still here and listening. Thank you so much. And if we're not connected, drop me a DM or a comment, and let's get to know each other and support each other and help each other, because that's what this is all about, isn't it? So thanks for listening. Take care.